Hey guys, welcome to NerdNest. This is Bill.
Excuse me. What the hell are you doing? Hey everybody, welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. I'm Bill, and this week I could not be joined by Russ or Rich or Carrie. They all had things going on. So I reached out to my friend Rudy and I said, Rudy, can you come on the show? And he said, yes. Rudy, thank you so much for joining us on the NerdNest podcast, man.
Definitely, dude. I mean, what is that? That's fourth fiddle? I'll take it. I'll take it to be on the NerdNest podcast. I'll do it.
Not fourth fiddle. Never ever think of it that way. It's just there's because I've been looking to bring more people on. Like we've had like Paris on, we've had Bob Wolf and stuff like that. And it's never like fourth fiddle. It's just that all the other guys happened to cancel today, and I had already reached out to you, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's awkward." Maybe because I did tell him today, and then Carrie suddenly vanished. Maybe he's got a problem. I don't know.
Oh, maybe we got beef, and I don't even know about it.
It's possible. Maybe he just didn't. Maybe he felt bad having all that freaking hair and being on a podcast with the two of us. He has like the best hair.
Seriously, man. When I saw him in person, I was just like, dude, what? Like, how?
I know.
How? And
genetics,
there's like no grays, nothing. Like, come on, man.
Right.
So good.
So good. I think because we had Wood Hawker on the recent episode, and Wood was like after the fact, Wood was trying to guess our ages or whatever, and Carrie was like, "No, not even close, dude." Because he looks so young. This is not the hair podcast, as you guys can probably see, but we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm sorry, what was that, Rudy?
I did my hair for the podcast today. Like, this was a special occasion.
And then I put a hat on. I can't take it off, though, because I got hat head if I take it off.
No worries. You're good.
Yeah, we've got a lot of topics to talk about today. We've got Lenovo Legion Go pricing is official, and it's painful. We have Valve's Steam Frame. We have developers talking about why they're not using the Nintendo Switch 2 carts and instead going for the game key cards instead. We have Silksong's ridiculous low price and 500,000 people playing it concurrently. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So let's jump right in. And I figured that we would start off with the Lenovo Legion Go 2. Lenovo, work on your naming scheme. But the Lenovo Legion Go 2 coming in at $1,100 for the Z1E version. The Z2E version, $1,500. And I think, I mean, look, I can't speak for Rudy. I haven't had hands-on with this device yet. Maybe it is somehow magically worth $1,500, but I am very skeptical. And there's an article that I saw, I don't know, like a couple of months ago. It might have been like 6 months ago. And I don't even remember who wrote it or what website it was on, but the gist of the article was all these other handheld manufacturers don't really understand the handheld market. And it was basically talking about how the price is way too high. The only reason Valve can hit that price is because they have the Steam store. And with the Steam store, they can make up the money that they lose on selling these things at either no margin or like below cost or razor thin margins. They can make that up by selling games. Nobody else can do that. So $1,500. Rudy, what's your reaction to $1,500 for a PC handheld from Lenovo?
My immediate reaction was like I was just like, what? And like, here's the thing. So I saw it at CES this year. Absolutely beautiful handheld, and I went to this Lenovo event, and at the Venetian, it was beautiful. I was sitting there, people from AMD, people from Windows, people from Lenovo. They were all sitting there, and they were talking to I think it was like maybe 100 of us. Like Russ was there. I saw him. Carrie was there. A bunch of the guys from Retro Handhelds, they were there as well. And ETA Prime was there too. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I feel like this is exactly what we as a community have wanted this entire time. OLED, high refresh rate, VRR, a powerful new chipset. And not only that, but all of the gripes that I had with the original Legion Go 1, ergonomics, the way that things just felt, it was just off, right? And it seemed like everything was addressed. So I was genuinely excited for this. But when I saw that price drop, I was like, wow, this, it's heavier, right?
Right, it's
It's
really thick.
hotter. It's thick. It's heavier. It's hotter. The fans are noticeably louder, and it's more expensive. These are all things that in the tech space, like you don't want. Like obviously,
Right.
price point is understandable, right? But when you're talking about a handheld in the handheld market, the original Legion Go right now, I think is like $699 or something like that. You're talking about over double the cost for
Right.
what, 5 to 10, maybe 15% improvement in frames. Come on, man. That's a high ticket item, and that's a luxury item at this point. And as many people have stated in the past, at that point, you might as well just get a laptop.
Right. You get a bigger screen. You get longer battery life because you can have a bigger battery in there. You the only downside is then you also have to pack a controller.
That's literally it, man.
Right. And
That's
these
literally
things are
it.
big enough that they're not like pocketable. You put them in your backpack anyway.
No,
So it's no
exactly.
different, really.
And to be honest with you, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like,
Go ahead.
I genuinely like, that is, if you have the money for it, because like, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but you have games on your PC, but you can also play on a PC handheld. So the PC handheld is almost seen as a secondary, a supplementive item in comparison to your original PC in most cases. I know some people that are just going to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a PC handheld and that's my go-to for everything. But for you, is a PC handheld a supplementary device or your main device?
It's an accessory. I would say it didn't really start out that way because most of my gaming was console gaming. I had a PC that I used for content creation, but then I don't know, like maybe 5 years ago, I switched from PC over to Mac for content creation. And so I just was never playing games on my PC. I was only playing them on console. And then when the Steam Deck came out, I mean, I had a PC and I had a Steam library. The Steam Deck caused me to go back to PC gaming because it was such a great experience. And now I have an actual, like a beefy PC that I can run pretty much anything on. And the Steam Deck has become, again, an accessory. But it didn't start out that way. But I do agree with you, Rudy. I think that most people who own a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally or Ally X or Lenovo, whatever, any kind of PC handheld, for most people, I think it's an accessory. I would love to hear from the community. Let us know in the comments. What do you guys, is it your main device or is it an accessory that lets you play your games on the go? Which one do you guys do? Anyway, what were you asked me the question, but it seemed like you had more to go.
Well, it's just because, for me, if you let's say you drop $2,500, you get a really decent PC, and you want to buy a PC handheld, dishing out $1,100, $1,500, 14, I think it was 1480, like that's just a lot to ask, and it's just too much. Even if you were to compare it to the Xbox Ally X, which is going to have the same processor. No, it's not going to have OLED, but it's still going to have a really decent 1080p 7-inch screen. It's not going to be 8 inches, which I know everyone wants. And I believe it was Kerry himself that said that 1080p screen, and Kerry, let me know if I'm wrong, but that screen on the Ally and Ally X are some of the most efficient screens that are out there in terms of performance and what it can do. So this is something that you would want to have on a handheld. Now, when you compare the Xbox Ally X to the Legion Go 2, all of a sudden you're like, similar performance. Is that, extra inch of screen size, is that OLED capabilities, is that VRR that's there, and the detachable, I think they're called True Strike controllers.
Yeah.
Is that enough to warrant the additional, $400 or $500 that you're gonna have to dish down for something like this? It leaves a very icky feeling when you compare the two. All of a sudden, the Xbox Ally X that people were like, ugh, that's why would I even want that? That looks ugly. All of a sudden it's like, well, it ain't half bad because I'm gonna be paying sub $1,000 for this.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple things there that I think are really interesting. Number one, we don't know what the price of the Xbox Ally X is going to be, but I cannot imagine it would be this price. Okay. Number two, I saw a lot of people, not people, I saw a lot of companies saying very similar things. You can't have OLED and VRR in the same display because it's too expensive. I don't know if that's the reason that this costs $1,500 and $1,100 for the cheaper one. I don't know if it costs that much because of OLED and VRR in the same display, but we heard that a lot from a lot of different places. And then here comes one with OLED VRR, and it is really expensive. And it seems like they're like, see, we frickin' told you it was expensive. This is why we went with LCD VRR instead of OLED VRR. And everybody's dragging them across the coals, myself included, because $1,500 is a lot. You mentioned just a second ago, we've got these big PCs. I recently built my own Steam Deck machine, basically. It's a PC, but it's consoleized because I have Bazite on it, right? Mm-hmm. And the price to build that whole thing was roughly $1,400, and it's got a 9700 XT in it, and it can run anything that I throw at it. It costs less than the Legion Go 2 by $100. So I can see why people would look at that price and be like, oh, damn. And it's so strange because this is coming right on the heels of Lenovo shipping the Lenovo Legion Go S, which I don't remember the price of this off the top of my head because transparency, it was sent to me by Lenovo. But I have nothing but good things to say about that once I got the Steam OS version. Then they do this, and it's like, oof, that's like insert the meme of that guy saying oof. You know what I mean? Yeah, that guy. So, okay. Do you think that this is about OLED and VRR, or do you think it's about the Z2 Extreme chip?
Well, so a couple of things. First, I know that AMD is charging top dollar for these chips. So I can see that playing into things. But there's also something that we haven't even talked about that I think should be mentioned in the room, and that is tariffs. Like, tariffs are another thing that will affect pricing. And we've seen that with plenty of things, not just PC handhelds overall. So I think that that's something that might affect things. I can't say, who told me that, but this tariffs shouldn't add more than maybe $100 to $150, maybe $200 to the price point that's already there with everything that's going on and how things are being shipped, right?
Right.
So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, so realistically, technically the base model should have been $950, $999, and then the other model should have been $1,200, maybe $1,250. When I was speculating pricing, that's where I thought we were going to be at. I thought we were going to be at, $999 to $1,200, respectively. But at the end of the day, this is just so out of left field that it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to be, a huge factor. But in terms of the OLED screen, in terms of the VRR, and the additional RAM that's in the second unit, that also is something that should be, accounted for as well. Mm-hmm. OLED is, I don't want to say that it's not new tech per se, because if Sony was able to do it with the PS Vita, technically, right, anyone else should be able to go ahead and do that and do it at a respectable price point. But it is a key factor because it is a high-end refresh rate, high-end screen. When I saw it in my hands, it looked beautiful, man. I genuinely, I've tweeted this out. genuinely believe that like the two contenders for this generation in terms of PC handhelds are literally the Legion Go 2 and the Xbox Ally X, simply because of like the power and everything that's there and just kind of like the whole package. The pricing is the biggest thing that's going to hurt the Legion Go 2 because it's just going to push a lot of the people that were interested in that closer towards the Xbox Ally X standpoint. That's just me and how I see it.
I think that that these companies are attacking this from the same place where they come at, I'm going to say, like laptops from, where it's like, okay, we can put this in there, but they're not taking into account the ridiculous increase in cost by including certain things. And that means that they're pricing themselves out of the audience's reach. People are going to walk into Best Buy. They're going to have this thing sitting on a kiosk somewhere. They're going to look at the screen. They're going to be blown away by the screen. Their wallet will be jumping out of their damn pocket. And then they'll see the price and they'll say, oh, never mind. I can't spend that kind of money on this thing. It's way too expensive. It's crazy to me that their constant need to focus on the bigger number better. It's always about bigger number better. And Valve, and people are always like, oh, Valve apologist or whatever, but they sell a Steam Deck that comes in at, what's the cheapest one now? $450 or something?
Something like, I think it might be even cheaper if it's the LCD version.
I don't even know if they sell the 64 gigabyte LC.
Oh, they don't sell that anymore. I think it's 256 is the minimum.
Yeah, so I'm at steamdeck.com right now and I'm scrolling down. Yeah, the cheapest one. No, look, 256 is $400.
256, $400. Okay.
You could buy 3 of these and have money left over for the same price that you get the Lenovo Legion Go 2 for. And yes, everything about the Legion Go 2 is better, but is it 3 times better? I don't feel like it is. You know what I mean? It's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention that, like, I saw, oh my God, I think it was the channel name is Optimum. And I saw he like did like a video on the Steam Deck months ago. And I was like, oh, let me, check it out. I love his quality. And one of the features that he highlighted that I often forget about is streaming to your Steam Deck, like streaming from your rig to your Steam Deck, even if it's not within like the same Wi-Fi network or anything like that. And I could not get a decent frame rate for Monster Hunter Wilds on my Steam Deck, let alone any of the PC handhelds that I have, because of the way that it launched. It was just unoptimized by many means. Like, it was horrible. So I was like, you know what, screw this. I'll just run this on my PC and I'll just play on my Steam Deck in the living room downstairs. So all of a sudden I started playing, streaming it, and I was like, holy crap, latency is not bad, like barely noticeable. I was like, this is actually fantastic. Yes, it's 1080 instead of, 800p, or well, it's 16 by 9 instead of 16 by 10. But still, it's such an amazing feature. So I feel like if there are games that don't run well on your Steam Deck or any PC handheld at that point, just stream it. You'll be fine if you want to have that handheld console-like experience. I don't know, man. Like, the Steam Deck as a handheld, it keeps on surprising me, man. There are so many things that just keep on popping up. Loss of scaling, decking frame gen, like all this stuff. It just keeps on getting better with age, man. It's fine wine.
It is. It really is. And the thing about it is, like, these companies, especially like Lenovo, Asus, like, how many times have they released hardware and it's all been after the Steam Deck, and Valve has yet to, I mean, they put out the OLED Steam Deck, but the power profile was essentially the same. They keep saying, well, this one has more power, but it's not enough more power to make it worth it. And it makes me appreciate the fact that Valve is holding off before releasing Steam Deck 2, if we ever actually get that, because they're waiting for an actual, real bump in power that is affordable. And I do think that, like, if you look at the original interview with Gabe on IGN when they announced it that first week, he was like, yeah, that price is painful. Like, they are thinking about the price. And companies like Lenovo and AMD, or not AMD, Asus, they don't have the store to back them up and help them reduce that cost. They have to be more expensive than the deck. They don't have a choice. That's not their fault. Like that's just one disadvantage that they have. But $1,500 seems pretty ridiculous. I still would love to get my hands on it because I've heard nothing but good things about the screen. I really liked the Legion Go 1. Like, that is a very comfortable machine, and I loved how big the screen was. It just made it super nice for my old eyes. You know what I mean?
I know how you feel. I'd be blind without these, so I totally get where you're coming from.
I usually wear glasses, but I just don't wear them in this room because it's a small room and everything's close enough that I can see. But if I go outside, I got to put on my glasses. Like, they're right here for when I leave the room. All right, let's move on and talk about. I mean, we've been kind of talking about Valve when we've been talking about the Legion Go, but Valve did a trademark application for Steam Frame. And, you know, I put out a video speculating that maybe it has, like, just based on the patent that I had read, I wasn't really thinking about VR at the time, even though I know that that's something that Valve does all the time. But one of the things that I thought was, this seems to me like they're taught, like what I was reading in the trademark, not patent, seemed like maybe they were bringing back a Steam Link, where it was, and for those of you who don't know what the Steam Link is, it was a device there you could hook it up to your Ethernet, hook it up to your computer, and just like Rudy was just streaming games to his Steam Deck wirelessly, it would stream games to this set-top box over Ethernet, which is a much more reliable connection, and then you could play it on different TVs, so you aren't trapped playing games only on the TV where your PC is. You can play on any TV in your house as long as you have Steam Links. They don't sell them anymore. So I was hoping that maybe something was coming from there. And then afterwards, I think it was, sadly, it's Bradley said, oh no, this is VR stuff and we can see this because of data mining. And I was like, okay, well, that's a little disappointing. But some part of me is also holding out hope that they are launching the VR stuff under Steam Frame. This, my fingers crossed for a new Steam Link, a Project Ibex controller, which was leaked at the same time as the Roy controllers for VR, and a console Fremont. If Valve put out all of that stuff all at once, I'd be doing cartwheels because that's stuff that I want to use. I want to check out what their hardware. What do you think Steam Frame is? If it's not just VR, do you think it's the other stuff or do you think it's just the VR?
Well, if I'm being 100% honest with you, the first time that I heard it, I thought that it was like a Steam Link 2. That like the first time that I heard that and I was like, oh, this is great. It's kind of ironic that we're talking about this around this time when Silksong has come out, because the only reason why I bought a Steam Link was so that I could play Hollow Knight in my living room downstairs. That was
you mean 8 years ago?
Reason. Yeah, dude, that was literally the only time. The only reason why I bought a Steam Link was like, oh, I could go ahead and play this, and like it's platforming, it's not multiplayer, it's not. I don't have to be online. This is going to be great. So yeah, that's kind of ironic. It's kind of funny that we're like talking about that now. But yeah, so mine is still actually downstairs. It's covered in dust. But yeah, I was hoping that there would be like a better version that would come out. But you know. I don't know. I heard about the VR side of things. Everyone's saying Deckard. So there's so many like different routes that it can go. And then on top of all of that, people are saying that this hardware is going to, I don't know if you've heard this or not, that it's going to launch with Half-Life X. That's right. Like the rumor that everyone is like saying, but it's Half-Life 3, essentially that's been like an ongoing, it's like the Duke Nukem Forever of this age. So it's like, it's just going to keep on going nonstop. I personally would like a VR headset. I think that'd be kind of cool. I missed out on the Valve Index when it first came out. And I feel like at this point, the support is there, but I feel like the next level in like tech and fidelity is there too. So I'm kind of like, holding my cards close to my chest. But I will say that Bill, imagine if like everything came out and it was like one giant suite of things. Like
Right.
you could buy like, you could buy the headset, or you could buy the Steam Link 2, or whatever it is that you want. Or you can buy the whole dang thing and you could set up your living room downstairs to be, 100% like Steam and like Valve set up, and that is your Steam frame. And the Steam frame could also be like, I mean, man, you got me speculating now all of a sudden, but it's just like there's so many routes and so many opportunities that are out there that honestly, like it could be a suite, and it could do everything that you want it to do. I would imagine that the engineers at Valve would have already like thought of like the different ways that you could integrate all of these applications and all this hardware together into one experience.
It's very reminiscent, and I'm in the same boat as you. That's what I'm hoping for, is that it's like this overall family of hardware and software that is all so well integrated together. Very similar, like the Apple ecosystem of gaming. Like, to me, when I pick up my phone and it works seamlessly with my Mac, and it works in my Apple TV, which is off, but my Apple TV works exactly the way I want. And I used to use an iPad. I don't really use it anymore because I have a laptop, which kind of fills in that same gap. But everything just works so well together. It makes it super, like, there's so little friction when I go to use any of these devices with each other. And I love that. And that's the kind of thing that I would love to see with gaming, especially through Steam, because I've joked before when somebody asks, which dock do you use? Because like I have 1,000 Steam Deck docks because I had advertisers at that, and they all work great. I mean, it's not hard to get a dock to be great. It's not even hard to get a dock. It's not even hard to get a dock to be amazing, because it doesn't have a whole lot to do, So my favorite dock is this one from, I think this is Ugreen. And I like this one because of the way that the metal folds around. Like, I like this. This is the feature that I like the most. It fits every PC handheld that I have. But I only use it for charging. Yeah, that one. It's the same one. It's so good. But I really only use it to charge my Steam Deck, because what dock do I use? I don't use a dock. I just use Steam Cloud Saves, and I turn on my PC, and then I play on there instead. That's the best dock. And that's the perfect argument for this ecosystem, this Valve frame or Steam frame ecosystem, where all of these different things that you can get all work together seamlessly without friction. Yes, please.
You literally hit the nail on the head, man, because I think that's the beauty of it. And like, I used to be a very big console gamer. I mean, I've always had a PC, I've always had to do photo editing, video editing, and things like that. So having a beefy PC was just always something that was there. And I remember when my buddy and I ran another channel, we would literally be like, okay, just whatever key they send our way for like a video or a stream or whatever, do it on Steam. We're going to be on a family sharing thing. And from there, we'll both be able to like play the game and whatnot. And that flexibility just evolved and became much more apparent, not only with the Steam, but just all PC handhelds in general, just being able to take my data and just play the game that I want where I want. I think there's nothing that can replace that flexibility and that ease of use. And I think that's one thing that like SteamOS has definitely like shown off. Bazide also has like made that very apparent, but just ease of use, being able to play your games where you want, when you want, that's the beauty of it all. And having that in like a solid ecosystem, I'm down 100%.
And there's some games that are not going to play in that ecosystem. The online multiplayer games that require anti-cheat, games that have certain kinds of DRM, some games with launchers that are incompatible with SteamOS, and that's fine, because I don't really play any of those kinds of games. Like, those are not the games that I would play even if I could most of the time. It's not that it's like, ooh, these games are beneath me or anything. They're just not the kind of games that I enjoy very much. You know what I mean? I very much prefer more single player games or MMOs. And pretty much every MMO that I want to play on SteamOS, I could if I wanted to, no problem. Like that's it just works fine for me. So when whatever Valve brings out with this Steam frame, because we don't know what it is, people were speculating that it was going to be announced the day after the trademark, because apparently when the Steam Deck was announced, the trademark was filed the day before. And so a lot of people were like, oh, okay, so when we saw that trademark, everybody was like, oh, tomorrow is going to be the thing. And like, I was in our private Discord with like the guys who are always on the show, and we're messaging back and forth. Where are you checking? Where are you checking? I'm checking over here. I'm looking on their YouTube channel. I'm looking at steampowered.com, and I'm looking on IGN, and we're all trying to see when is Steam Frame going to get announced, whatever it is. And so far we haven't seen anything. We're recording this on Sunday. Maybe by Monday there'll be something, who knows, but not yet.
Not yet.
So you said that you would love to have a VR headset. Do you have any VR headsets?
I
Like,
got
have
the
you tried it?
PSVR 2. I have tried it. So I've like messed with like VR in the past. I have a PSVR 2 that I got for like, I think $250 or something. They were like doing like a liquidation over at Best Buy, and I was like, why not? So I got it. It came with Horizon Call of the Mountain, I think is the name of the game. But you know, so long story short, before the PS5 launched, and they were going to increase the price of PlayStation Plus, I bought like 6 or 7 years worth of like PlayStation Plus. I was like, like I'll just lock in my price now as much as I can. And and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this here. And then like my son, he loves playing on it. So when I got the PSVR 2, I was like, whoa, there's this whole collection of games that are included in here that I didn't even realize I had access to. So all of a sudden I was playing all of these like Beat Saber and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, these are actually like pretty well designed and pretty well done. Obviously on the PC side of things, there's much more that's there. I do have the adapter to play PC games with PSVR 2, but to be honest with you, I've heard it's finicky. It's not really 100%. It doesn't work at all. Yeah, like
well,
it's
it works, but it works
there.
poorly. It works poorly because I wanted to play Half-Life Alyx because I'd never played Half-Life Alyx.
Same.
Yeah, and it was like because I already owned it just because I own every Valve game because I bought a Steam controller and hooked it up to a Mac and it didn't work right. And their apology was anybody who did that got every Valve game.
Wow.
So in perpetuity, forever. Like every Valve game that comes out, if you hooked a Steam controller up to a Mac, you basically get it for free. It just gets added to your library. So I had it and I hooked up I bought a third party PSVR 2 PC adapter. And that was awful. Worked like garbage. So I returned that and I bought the one I found because they were always sold out, the official adapters. So I bought that and it arrived and I hooked it up to a Windows PC because it has to be Windows. And I tried it and it was just super stuttery. And every time I would turn, I would run into all of these bugs and it was too much of a it was too much of a bad experience compared to just hooking the PSVR 2 up to a PS5 that I was just like, I'm out. I'm waiting until I get something else. I could have gone downstairs and just stole my son's MetaQuest 3 because apparently that works really well. But I just have never bothered. So I'm still waiting. Hopefully Valve puts out something. My fingers are crossed that it has inside out tracking and not like little things that I have to put around I understand that the little things make the tracking so much better, but I just don't want to have stuff. Like I don't want to have to worry about putting that stuff around the room. You know what I mean? I can't stand that. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm also hoping it's not super expensive because I think Valve Index was what, $1,500 and you had to have a PC too, right?
Yeah, it had to be attached to the PC.
And it was really expensive on top of that, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
If I remember correctly. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Any last thoughts on Steam Frame before we move on?
I just want I want to know what it is. That's it.
Same, yeah.
That's my point. I want to know what it is.
Same. Although I did just think of something. I really hope that Half-Life 3, if it does launch with Half-Life 3, I really hope it's not a VR game. I hope it's just a flat screen. Yeah, I mean, VR is cool, but every time I go to use VR, like, I gotta push this table out of the way so I don't kick it with my shins. I have to prepare to play. It's a commitment. And when it comes to playing games, I am a commitment phobe. If I have to, like, make decisions about what I'm going to do, like, I just want to sit down and play. I don't want to have to, like, get it out of its case and unhook the cord and plug it in and put it on my headset and make sure it's calibrated properly. It's too much work.
Yeah. Right. That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Like, that's a fair point. Like, I mean, I know that just looking at like the PSVR 2, and that's like a very generalist, you know, it's a very bottom tier headset compared to some of the other stuff that's out there. So I can only imagine, like, man, because like I know that there are mods for Half-Life Alyx to work on mouse and keyboard. So that's something that's there, but it kind of like takes away the original vision that the developers had in terms of like what they wanted the player to experience and what they wanted the gamer to experience. So it's a, I don't know, it's kind of in between a rock and a hard place. If they do release, you know, another Half-Life whatever, whether it's a continuation of Half-Life Episode 3 or Alyx Part 2, whatever, I hope that they allow for compatibility with both. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, hey, we're releasing this and the best experience is here, but you can play it with mouse and keyboard. I think that would probably be the best way to go about it.
Kind of like the Resident Evil games. They're all just like regular ass games, but you can also just put on a VR headset and be terrified. Like, it works perfectly.
Have you played Resident Evil with a VR headset? Because, dude, you were very brave if you did.
Like, not very much. And so, because I got the PSVR 2 and Resident Evil 8 Village had the VR mode, right? So I was like, I'm going to try it out. And so I did the tutorial where you're like in a garage and you're like finding batteries and plugging stuff in or whatever. I did that. And then I went into the real game. And have you played that game? Oh,
dude, it was a day one buy for me. I absolutely love Resident Evil.
So at the very beginning, you get in that car accident and then you're walking through the woods, right? So I walk through the woods and you get to the shack. And my wife is in the room with me and she can see on the screen what I'm doing, right? And I'm just sitting there outside the shack. And she's like, I just sat there for quite a long time. And she goes, what are you doing? Are you going to go in? And I go, I don't want to. Because it's just too immersive. It looks too...
It is very immersive.
It looks so freaking realistic. It's insane how realistic it looks once it's in 3D. I'm just like, holy cow. And the same for Call of the Mountain. Like, that game blew my mind. Because that was my first VR experience, was Call of the Mountain. I'd never played a VR game before. And I beat that game. And I was just blown away. My arms were tired from doing this nonstop, climbing up the mountain, but it's so good. What's like? Did you have that experience? Did you play the Resident Evil one?
So I did play a little bit of it. I decided to put it down. It's just the immersive levels are like way over, like way too much. And then for Call of the Mountain, I have a fear of heights, like a very crazy, like to where like I booted it up and I was like, oh man, this is pretty. Cause you start off with, you're going in a rowboat or a canoe and you're like kind of like going, I'm like, wow, this is gorgeous. And then 30 minutes later, you're like climbing down, you look down, you're like 1,200 feet in the air. Like I was like, I'm literally sweating bullets doing nothing here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I never finished it. I can't. I tried. I really did, but I couldn't.
It was well, I finished that, but Resident Evil was just too scary for me. There's something about the immersion level once you put it on a headset. And when I did play of Half-Life Alyx, I was like, well, this is friggin' amazing. It really is amazing. But I just didn't want to commit to putting a helmet on in order to play a game. So I hope it's a 2D game. I hope that it's what you said, where it's both things, because I think that's really the best of both worlds. For sure. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Silksong. When I asked you if you wanted to be on the show, you said yes, and then I said what we were talking about. You go like, "Well, I'm not." All I can think about right now is Silksong. So I have not played Silksong. I
Okay.
played a little bit of Hollow Knight because I have this new weird controller that was sent to me for review, and I'm working on my review for it. And it's a fight pad essentially,
No, yeah.
and I've been playing Hollow Knight on that. And then just only because I don't even know how it ended up in my library. I think it's probably through Humble Bundle or something at some point, and that's how I got it. But Silk Song's also in my library because my son bought it for himself because he loves Hollow Knight, and so he's super excited about Silk Song. But everything I keep reading, it's just way too hard, and I know myself. I'm getting frustrated just playing Hollow Knight because I'm moving. First off, I'm learning a new control scheme because I'm not using a traditional controller, so that's tough. But it's actually really good. But then I get killed, and I'm like, open up the map, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to go through all that to get back to where I died. I'll just shut off the game. And then my
Yeah.
son tells me, oh, it's so much harder. Silk Song is so much harder. Is it?
Yeah, man. It is so much fun. You're just like telling me all this, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yep, nope, yep, 100%. Me and some of the guys we were talking about it in our Discord server, and so we compared it to Dark Souls. Did you play Dark Souls 1, like the original one?
No.
No.
The first
Okay.
one I played was 3.
Okay. So, Dark Souls 1, first off, Demon Souls was revolutionary. I loved it so much that I ended up buying copies for like my friends. I was like, please just play this game. It's so good. Like once you get used to how the game mechanics work and how you kind of have to think, and there's less hand holding. Because again, this is PS3, Xbox 360 era. There was so much hand holding around that generation that having something like this felt really fresh. So that happened. Dark Souls 2 comes out, and it is essentially what Hollow Knight Silksong is to the original Hollow Knight. Like it
Oh.
takes everything that was difficult and just takes it to the next level. Now, there's a lot of like discussion that I've seen online in terms of like the design choices that were made by Team Cherry in terms of how everything runs. But I don't know if you would call me determined or just downright stubborn, but I'm going to finish this game. This is one thing that I'm definitely going to go ahead and play. And I've been enjoying it, man. Like the music is beautiful. The animations are fantastic. The difficulty is there, but I think the difficult part with this game is that it goes from you playing as, the knight from Hollow Knight to, Hornet, which is what's on screen right now.
Yeah.
And that is probably the biggest shift because you go from somebody that's somewhat hardened to she's a princess. So she's a little bit more delicate, but she can still kick butt. And then the bosses, instead of them taking one bit of health, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, there's 5 bits of health. They take 2. So in 3 hits, you're out. Instead of 5, which was how it was on the original Hollow Knight game. So that adds like an additional layer. Then there's some instances where you're in the middle of a boss fight where there's multiple enemies all at the same time. Is it worth, the 7 or 8 year wait? I think so. But I'm also, I'm a masochist, I guess, when it comes to these games. Like I enjoy the challenge because the feeling that I get, when I'm triumphant is just so good. And as I've played, it's continuously gotten better and better and better. But Bill, I wanted to ask you, man, do you enjoy like Metroidvanias, aka search action games?
I love Metroidvania games. It's the fact that you die and then you have to get back to your stuff and you can't die on your way back to your stuff or you lose that stuff that you lost when you died. That's a horrible sentence, but everybody who's played these kind of games knows what the hell I'm saying.
I understood you 100%.
So I really do like Metroidvanias. Those are some of my favorite games that I've ever played have been Metroidvanias. I think Metroid What's the most recent one? The
Dread.
Dread. Yes, Metroid Dread. Freaking
Dude,
awesome! So
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 good.
good.
That's a special edition right there, man. Like
Oh,
right over there.
nice.
I absolutely love Metroid, man.
Yeah. So I love
Was
that
that your
genre.
first Metroid game, or have you played other
Oh
ones?
God, no! I played the original Metroid on the NES when I was a kid because like that's it. I think I can't remember if it was a launch game or not, but it was
I
really
don't know.
early when the NES came out because it had that like it was. I felt like I played that and Kid Icarus, and I was like, oh, these are like so similar with the black background and like it's super eerie. I love Metroid.
Oh yeah, I remember when I got my DMG way back in the day. The first game that I got with it was Metroid 2, which is arguably one of the worst out of all of them. But I played the bejesus out of it because it was the only game that I had. So I was
Right.
like, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna enjoy it, and I ended up loving that game. I really like the remake that came out on the 3DS or 2DS. But yeah, I'm a huge Metroid fan. That and like it's the genre as a whole. Like Hollow Knight kind of kicked off, a resurgence of the genre as a whole. I'm glad that Metroid Dread came out because that was such a polished game that it just. I don't know, man. Like I love it, but a lot of those same elements are in Silksong, which is the only thing is the difficulty with like finding a safe spot and then having that. But as you expand, there are more benches in Silksong than there are in Hollow Knight. I've noticed.
Okay, that's good to know. I most of the time I feel the need to try and finish the first game before I go on to the next one.
Understandable.
I don't think that that's going to be the case with this one. It's in my library. Once my son is done with it, I'll probably check it out and like give
Yeah.
it a shot. But my level of tolerance for things that waste my time, and I don't want to say that the game is intentionally wasting my time, but I only have so much time that I can spend playing a video game. I have a lot of stuff that I have to do. I'm an old man. I got kids, I got grandkids, I got a job, I got a YouTube channel and a podcast. I don't have time to put into a game where when I die, I have to redo the last 40 minutes of travel that I just did.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's enough to make me just shut off the game. And it's already
Hmm.
happening with Hollow Knight. So if Silksong is even more difficult than that, then
You're just like,
but guess what? Every game isn't for every person. And I'm
that's true.
perfectly fine with games that are not for me. This game is for a lot of people. Because did you see the ridiculous numbers it's doing on Steam?
I was literally the launch day. I was like paying attention to how it was continue. The concurrent players were just literally just continuously going up. Did it max out?
I'm gonna try and put this on screen right now so people can see it. For the YouTube people, for the audio listeners, you won't be able to see it. The all-time peak was yesterday, so it's still going up, but it is starting to flatten just a little bit. But the all-time peak was 587,150. That's crazy for a game made by three people, or at least that's what I've read is that it's made by three people.
That's insane, dude. That is bonkers numbers.
Yeah. I told my wife I'm doing the wrong side gig. I need to be making video games because holy cow. Not that I could do what these guys do, but 587,000, that's a lot of people who are very, very hyped for that game. And I told my son about that and he was like, wow, that's crazy. I was like, yeah, but guess what? That's just people who are playing at the same time. That's
Hmm.
not everybody who bought it. Like there's a lot of people who bought that game. And that's huge, huge numbers. And it's only compounded by the fact that they only charge $20 for it. In the same era where it's like where Nintendo is like $80 for Mario Kart, and I'm sure GTA is going to be a stupid amount of money. Silksong comes out for $20, crashes Steam. You can't like buy it because too many people are trying to buy stuff at the same time. The last time that happened was when the Steam Deck came out. Like It's crazy that this team crashed Steam with their Metro 2D Metroidvania game. It's nuts.
Dude, it is absolutely crazy. And to be fair, it wasn't even just Steam. It was also Steam, Xbox,
Yeah.
PlayStation, and Nintendo, the eShop. Like everything was down. It's insane. And like I'm sitting here looking at like the charts. Hollow Knight capped out at 95,000 concurrent players for their all-time peak. So it is insane that this is almost 6 times the amount of concurrent players. The price point though is very interesting because I feel like when they announced that it was going to be $20, I was like, I could have easily paid 25, 30, or even $35 for this. This is something that I personally have been looking forward to for years since it was originally announced. I just, in terms of like what that does for like the indie space and just the gaming space in general overall is kind of interesting because this year, we got the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch 2 launched with Mario Kart, which was $79.99, $80. That's a lot of money for a game. And I bought the bundle that came with the digital code or whatever. And I have it, but I'll be honest with you, I would not have been happy if I spent $80 on that game. And when you look at that and you compare it to other titles that are like $70, $60, $50, or even Expedition 33 that came out earlier this year, that was $50. Yeah, $50. Fantastic. Like one of the few UE5 games that actually run well. Like, yeah, there's some issues here and there, but actually runs decent in comparison to other UE5 games. It's insane. And it kind of questions, what that price point of $20 is going to do for the gaming industry, like how that's going to affect other indie developers or just other developers, AAA, AA, whatever it may be.
Yeah, in the show notes, I have this this story about basically other devs are looking at what Hollow Knight just did, and they're like, "Hey, I can't beat this because the price is too low." Like it says here, Lone Fungus on Twitter, they said, as a dev making a smaller Metroidvania than Silksong, which I originally thought would be fairly priced at $20 US, what should I price it at now? It'll be a 10 to 15 hour plus game, but it was made by one person with limited dev time and funds. I cannot afford to give it away for free. And my initial reaction when Team Cherry announced that the price of the game was $20 was, take that, AAA, you bunch of clowns. But then I didn't think about all of the indies who look at these prices and they're like, if I price my game at $20, a similar genre game, people are gonna they're gonna compare my game to this game. And maybe they don't want to be compared to that game. Like maybe they just wanted to put out their game. Like if I wanted to play basketball, I go out and I play basketball and shoot a couple of hoops. I don't want to be compared to Jordan. You know what I mean? That's exactly what's happening to these guys. So on one hand, I was like, AAAs need to sit up and take note. This is how it's done. But all the smaller indies are like, I don't know what to do now. What do you think that they should do? What would you recommend to that dev?
Well, first and foremost, let me just be abundantly clear. I feel like, the whole preface of like, this is not financial advice. I am not a developer.
Yes.
I don't develop games. But from the outside looking in, I do understand that there are certain development costs that come into play when you're developing a game. In this particular scenario, when it's just one person that has limited funds and limited time, I feel like, there's a little bit of, kind of a sort of like expectant of like, okay, I'm going to kind of make X amount of money out of this. And that's not even taking into account what storefronts charge for, or, well, the cut that storefronts get out of things, right?
Yeah.
The thing with this is that Team Cherry and Silksong as a whole has had a long buildup of like this energy that
Yeah.
this buzz, this hype that has been going on. And when they pushed release, all of a sudden all this attention, everything is coming in and cashing in all at the same time, right? Not to mention that they also had the hype that was building up from Hollow Knight as its predecessor. For Lone Fungus, I've never heard of them or the games that they've made.
Same.
I don't know, what is it? Lone Fungus: A Melody of Spores is its sequel. Lone Fungus is the original game. Never heard of either of them, right? So in that instance, I would be like, hey, like, you might want to like put a little bit of the time and a little bit of the funding into marketing the game that's there. That's one thing. The second thing, and I think Nintendo is trying to kind of like make this more of a thing, is having different price points for different games. And this is why I mentioned Mario Kart World earlier, because Mario Kart World is $79.99. But at this point, I feel like the industry as a whole has agreed that AAA is $69.99. Thank you, PlayStation. And there are other instances where indie developers, kind of like Expedition 33 and Sandfall Interactive, they can go ahead and say, you know what? We think that this is the price point that works because of our team size and everything that we have. And this is something that we could, expect out of this. I think what's going to start happening is that, and we've seen this already, more developers and more publishers are going to say, you know what, this is a $50 game, this is a $60 game, this is a $70 game, and that's only at launch. As we all know, there's plenty of Steam sales that happen all the time. So you're going to find this game, not, Silksong, but any game in general, you're going to find it in a sale at one point with some form of discount. It's, from an industry-wide perspective, I think it's going to become I hope that it becomes much more apparent that you do not need to have a huge team that is required to deliver a really good experience. And I think that's where I look at it from like a game, like from my perspective of somebody that plays a lot of video games. I want a really good experience, whether it's from 3 people, 1 people, or 30 or 40 people, whatever it may be. If it's worth the money, then I'm willing to pay for it. From my perspective, in terms of like the indies that are comparing themselves to Silksong, like that's this is a moment in time, and will it have lasting effects? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that another aspect is, did you ever play Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart?
A tiny bit of it.
A tiny bit. Okay. What did you think of the quality that was there?
Well, it was a beautiful game, that's for sure. It was very, very pretty. I didn't play enough of it to really get, like, I didn't buy it. I think was it on PSN or something? I can't remember if it was on PSN at some point.
Probably at one point.
Or I just played the demo.
Yeah. The reason why I say that is like when that came out, I think it was a $69.99 game. It was a $70 title and it's 13 hours, right? To finish 10 to 13 hours. Most people would look at that and be like, well, that's not worth it. Like, I want more time. If I'm going to dish out full price for a game. Yeah,
I'm the opposite of that.
And I am the opposite of that as well. I firmly believe that, like, if you pay, like, I think Neva is another title that came out recently. They're the same developers as Gris, which is GRIS.
Yeah.
It's a side-scrolling platform, a little bit of action here or there. I paid full price for it. I absolutely loved my experience with it. Talk to someone else and they'd be like, that's a waste of time. You can finish it in like 4 or 5 hours. Like Resident Evil, for instance, like Resident Evil, I think 1, 2, even 3 was the shortest one. You could finish it in like 4 or 5 hours, but they were still charging full price. And this is a AAA studio that's pumping this out. Like, you kind of have to look at the product that you're getting and the experience that you're getting out of it compared to like the amount of work that's there. Like, there are so many moving variables and points that are in play that it's very difficult to see it as, well, Team Cherry did it for $20, so I should do it at $20 too, regardless of whatever my budget is for my work, or not work, but like my employees and things like that, or the other developers that are on hand. Like, I just think it's a very unrealistic approach. to look at it that way.
Comparison is the thief of joy. So when you compare yourself to Team Cherry, you're like, you can't compete with that because of all of the hype behind it. I will say, if you had planned on releasing this month, maybe delay. Like, just delay, because people are going to forget. They're going to play the game and they're going to be like, man, that was friggin' amazing. I want to play another Metroidvania. And I spent 60 hours playing this game, this Metroidvania. So I just finished it. It's, now we're in October or November. Now I'm ready to play another one. Put another one out. Put your game out, Fungus, whatever it was, Fungusvania. And when you put that game out, put it out at the price that you thought it was fair. And to the people like that are always, because Rudy's 100% right. There are so many people out there that think that if you spend X dollars, you need to get Y hours out of it. That is a ridiculous proposition. And that is why we get games that are inflated way past where they're fun anymore. Where you're like, okay, well, sure, this, on the back of the box, in the days when we would look at the back of a box, but on the back of the box, it says 150 hours of quests or something. That, to me, is an alarm sign that says you weren't confident enough in your gameplay to just let me play it for as long as I needed to. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to play the first third of that game, and I'm never getting to the rest of it, because it's just too much of a time commitment. I don't have the attention span for it, personally.
No, I 100% agree with you, man. Like that's one thing that, as I've aged and I'm in my mid 30s now, I'm looking at it, I'm just like, I don't really have the time to dedicate to like an MMORPG that, like Final Fantasy 14 is one that like my friends have been trying to get me to play. And I'm just like, dude, I don't, I know it's good. I know. That's that.
But
everyone
you don't know
tells me
because you haven't played it.
Well, no, I've heard that would be the right saying. I've heard, but I'm just like, dude, I don't have the time to dedicate to it, and to like learn everything. And then there's other games that are like Far Cry, for instance, the Assassin's Creeds of the world.
Yeah.
I think that the last great game that I played that, did open world really well, was probably, Witcher 3, in the sense that they didn't need to advertise, hey, we have like 20 cajillion side quests that you can do. It was more of like, hey, here's the story. This is what's here. Play. And the side quests that were there were naturally, evolving. The world was naturally, expanding as you played through the game. So, yeah, man, I agree with you. I don't think that, artificially padding a game just so that you can hit, 80 hours to finish this, 90 hours, 100 hours. I'm just like, dude, no, like, I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Yeah. If Rich were here, he would say, I want shorter games made by devs that get paid more. It's something. Rich, if you're watching this, leave the quote down below. Everybody knows what quote I'm talking about, but I can never get it right. But that's exactly
right.
the way I look at it. Yeah, I don't want games that take me that long to finish, because I know I don't have the ability to finish them when they take that long. That said, there are some cases where the quality of the game is so damn high that I could play it forever. Like Breath of the Wild. I played that game for 200 hours. I played it for I played it for basically, I'm going to say probably 80 hours to beat it the first time. And then I played it in master mode and did it for another 120 hours. Games like Monster Hunter. Those games have a gameplay loop that I can sit down at any time and just start playing, and they will suck up all of my time because I don't have to pay attention to the story. It's like there's no dialogue that I care about. The only thing is the gameplay, just the moment to moment gameplay, the loop that you get into. Those are the games that I can sink serious time into. But when it's Far Cry or it's Assassin's Creed and you have to go to the tower and have it spit out all of these different icons on the map, and then you got to visit each one. I look at that and I'm like, there's just too many, and I don't know which one I should go to. So I'm just going to shut it off and watch a YouTube video instead, because I don't have time to do all of that. But for all the people that love those games, and for all the people who are looking forward to Silksong, and like Rudy is going to dump 60, 70 hours into that game, that's awesome for you. Probably more, because there's 40 bosses in that game. It's probably going to be over 100 hours.
Probably. Let me see what I'm at right now. I'm currently at 15 hours. 15.2 hours.
And it came out on the 4th, so 15 hours in 3 days. So you're averaging 5 hours per day.
Pretty much
on that game.
Pretty much. I may or may not have lost sleep, but it's okay. It looks beautiful on the Steam Deck OLED, man, and it runs like butter, like absolute butter.
It looks so, like, every time I see it, I'm like, the animation is insane. How fluid all of the animation is. Is it like capped at 60? Like, does it go to 60?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it can go. I mean, I'm playing on my Steam Deck, so it's hitting 90, and like
Nice.
there are no dips in frame timing or anything. Sometimes when you're like loading into an area, you'll see like a little spike, but I'm looking at it right now, like it's literally just 90. Let me pull this up for you, man, because it's like I look at it and I'm just like, this is what I love about it. Like absolutely nothing. Everything is just running beautifully. No
Nice.
issues. Like that's what I want. That's what I want from games.
Let us know in the comments section down below, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, how many hours a day you've been putting into Silksong, because I want to know if anybody out there is beating Rudy. And
I'm sure
5 hours. I'm sure that there are, but I don't know. 5 hours a day. That's a lot. I have a day job. I don't have time for that. Anyway, let's move on and talk about Nintendo for a little bit. A lot of people have been upset with Nintendo because of game key cards. Game key cards, for those of you who haven't been following, essentially is just a key. You put it into your Switch. Instead of having the game actually on the card, it then downloads the game from the internet. This is extremely similar to when you go and you buy a disc for your PS5 or your Xbox. It'll install it, but you still need to put the disc in order to play. This is the same exact thing. The reason why game key cards are better than just a digital version of the game, because somebody might say, well, why not just get digital? Well, because you can sell your game key card. You can trade your game key card to somebody else. You're not stuck with the game once you're done with it. That's one advantage to it. The disadvantage to it is eventually the eShop is going to get shut down for the Nintendo Switch 2. And when that happens, you won't be able to get these games anymore, even if you have the game key card. So you're going to be stuck. And it's just yet another example of you'll own nothing and like it. A lot of people were irritated by devs who were opting to go for game key cards instead of putting the games on the actual card. So, earlier you brought up The Witcher 3, same devs, CD Projekt Red. They put the entire game of Cyberpunk 2077 on the game key card, including the DLC. You don't have to download anything, and I applaud them for doing that. Other devs have decided instead, we don't want to do that. We're going to just do a game key card. And a lot of people were assuming that was because they were just being cheap, because the game key cards are expensive. They got mad at Nintendo, saying, Nintendo, you shouldn't make these so expensive. But then it turns out that apparently you can't get the chips that go into these game key cards in smaller sizes. It only comes in like 64 gigs, and then whatever the other one is, I can't remember. I guess like other chip sizes aren't available. So that isn't really on Nintendo for that part. But what is on Nintendo is the fact that the game, the cards that do contain the games are kind of slow. And because they're slow, some devs are saying, no, we weren't cheaping out. Literally, the cards are too slow to play our game because so much streaming, and when I say streaming, I don't mean like off of the internet, but streaming assets off of the card into the game world are like, has to happen because you just can't do it with with the cartridges because they're too slow. Apparently, they're like 400 something per second. I can't remember the number exactly, but I'm trying to. Why is this link not a link anymore? It was a link last time I opened up this article. Anyway, while I'm bringing this up, Rudy, what do you think about the idea that it's really not down to the devs are cheaping out? It's because their engines can't stream the assets off of the cards fast enough.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you like you got to kind of read the room, right? I feel like the Nintendo Switch community as a whole has made it apparent that they don't want key cards, right? So if you don't want a key card, don't buy one. Just buy it digitally. Make it apparent that like digital is the way that you want to go. Now, me personally, like if I were to tilt my camera, I literally have all of like my physical collection from like NES, SNES, and all the way up to PlayStation 5. And for me, I like having physical media. It's kind of ironic because I talk about like PC handhelds and stuff on my channel, but I like physical media whenever I can get it. When I read that the game performed worse when they were trying it out with the game being installed on the card itself, on the cartridge, and not a key card, that was, me initially. I was like, well, you should probably optimize your game better. One, that's one way that I would like look at it. But two, it's, very apparent that this is a port. This is not like hey, I'm going to build this game for the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that was built for the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 in mind. PC as well, because PC, has the SSDs and the ability to have fast data transfer speeds. When it comes to this, it kind of leaves like an icky taste in my mouth, so would be the best way of saying it. Because for me, I would rather have a physical piece of content that, I know technically, legally speaking, again, I'm not a lawyer, but like that's a license that you retain, right? But I want to be able to sell that if I want to later on, just like you can a Switch 1 cartridge. The whole key card thing, it feels weird, man. I'm not a fan of it. And it's like you said, the whole you won't own anything and you'll like it. I'm not a fan of that feature at all. I would rather be able to own my media as best as I can. I do think that for developers that, like, if CD Projekt Red could do it with Cyberpunk 2077, like, I know that it's an older title, but anyone can do it. Literally anyone can do it. That is a huge undertaking to stuff all of that into a 64 gigabyte cartridge. Like, anyone can do it. It's disheartening that somebody would be like, well, and maybe it's just because it's the console gamers as a whole, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like console gamers as a whole, they kind of just want to turn it on, plug it in, and it play. They don't want to like mess with settings. They don't want to like tweak anything. They just want it to work, right? I think that the way, I think it was the PS5 that introduced this, or maybe it was the PS4 Pro, that like they introduced the option to go with frames over fidelity. To go, instead of it going 4K at 30 FPS, you could do 1080 at 60 FPS, or somewhere in between. It was PS4
Pro,
okay.
I think.
PS4 Pro, okay, and like having that option was like fantastic for some people. I still think that there should be, some option like that on the Switch. And again, I haven't seen everything when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws, because I do know that there's a way where you can have ray tracing on there and path tracing, and that'll lower down the performance of things. But it's kind of like, just put it at 720 upres. There's DLSS there. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Give me something, like, So, but I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Like, it just seems like a cop out almost. What do you think?
Well, let me say exactly what they said, because I brought it up on screen now. This is Rob Banton, who works at Ubisoft, depending on who you talk to. And basically, they work on Snowdrop, which is the engine that powers most of Ubisoft games. And it says Snowdrop relies heavily on disk streaming for its open world environments. And we found that the Switch 2 cards simply don't give the performance we needed at the quality target we were going for. I don't recall the cost of the cards ever entering discussion, probably because it was moot. John Linneman from DaVinci Resolve, you idiot, from Digital Foundry, replied, okay, I was right then. I had a feeling that was the case given the amount of streaming going on in the game engine based on the results we saw with other Switch 2 card games. And then Rob got back to him and said, I think if we design a game, this backs up exactly what you were saying a second ago. I think if we designed a game for Switch 2 from the ground up, it might have been different. As it was, we built the game around SSDs and the initial target platforms, and then the Switch 2 came along a while later. In this case, I think our leadership made the right call. And that's fine. You can have that opinion if you want.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things there that I think are interesting. Number one, this was designed around SSDs. Okay. Why can't we do the digital card or do the card and install it like you do with a disc? The PS5, the Xbox, whatever, they don't play off the disc. Why does it have to play off of the actual card? Maybe this is a Nintendo limitation, or maybe, like Rudy was just saying, maybe it's just a cop-out. I don't know. There's no way for us to know. Neither of us are devs. Secondly, the other part of this is, I am all for people getting physical media. I do not want physical media. I don't want it cluttering up my house. My house is not huge. I don't want to have a bunch of just plastic things sitting on my shelf, especially when you're talking about a portable system like the Nintendo Switch or Switch 2. When I'm sitting downstairs in the living room playing a game on my Switch 2, and I'm like, okay, I want to play the new Age of Calamity game. Oh, it's upstairs. So now I got to get up, go upstairs, find it, swap out the card, come back downstairs. It's just so much more convenient for me to buy it digitally. So I have been digital since the Nintendo Switch generation. I think I had 7 total games where I had the actual physical card for Nintendo Switch, and everything else has been digital. My PS5 is all digital stuff. My Xbox is all digital stuff. Obviously, my Steam library is digital stuff. But I also think that physical media, from a preservation standpoint, is incredibly important. So I really want these companies to be putting out real physical media and not game key cards, even though I'm part of the problem because I don't buy the physical media. I want other people to have that option. And right now, it seems like all of these forces are coming together to make it less likely that people would end up picking up physical media because they're making it worse. Like literally they're making physical media worse than digital media, which for me is fine. But for somebody like Rudy, that really sucks. You know what I mean?
100%, man. And like, that's the thing. Like, when I got my Switch 2, the first game that I bought was Cyberpunk 2077 because I knew I wanted to buy that, and it was also one of the easiest games to compare in terms of like performance across like platforms. So I wanted to buy that, but also like it feels weird. And I think you brought up that point of like, Xbox Series X and PlayStation, you buy a disc and it'll install it onto the SSD. And then from there you can play the game. And essentially the disc is a way of proving ownership of the license that's there. To me, it feels weird. It feels icky. It feels like I am a fan of choice. Let me put it like that, Bill. I am a fan of choice. I do not like to be forced into one direction when, I've
not the band.
Lived my entire life where, I have multiple options that are in front of me. I've been owning games my entire life. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, you don't really own it anymore. And, I don't know how, people feel about this, but it's the saying that if owning a game, technically is an ownership, then piracy isn't stealing at that point. Now, I am an advocate of paying for the games that, I want to play, but, it's kind of like if I were to mod a piece of hardware and get access to a library of games that that were available at one point on a server, but the company went ahead and decided to shut down the server, and there's no other way of accessing the games except from this third party. What am I going to do? I can't pay the company to be able to play the games that I want to play.
Right.
So I'm kind of left. I'm SOL at that point. So I'm just going to go ahead and mod my device and get access to the games that I want to play via this third party server, because they at least still have it available for me. Right?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people often will use that phrase that you just used as an excuse to just steal everything,
Which is wrong.
Which is wrong. I have been 100% against that. Like if you can actually hand over money to a company in exchange for a product and then have that product to play, I'm fine with that. And then and that's what you should do. If you cannot, if the only way that you can get the game is to buy it on the secondhand market, because like a physical media version of the game, but that's like $160 or something because they're rare. Again, I'm fine with people pirating that game because the companies aren't giving us the ability to just pay them for the thing that we want. So when it comes to old stuff, as long as you are, when it comes to pirating things, as long as you're only getting the things that, and not a lawyer, but as long as you are only pirating the things that you don't have any other options for, I have zero problem with somebody doing that. It's when people are like, it's always morally right to pirate Nintendo. That is just an asinine argument from people who just want to not pay for things. And
Agreed.
It's fine if that's what you want to do. I just disagree with that. I think that you are just making up excuses at that point.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly. Like, I think that, I was actually having this discussion once again, like in another server earlier this morning. Somebody was comparing the performance of Star Wars Outlaws on the ROG Ally X in contrast to that of the Switch 2. And they were like, oh my God, in order to get like similar results, I had to do all these crazy things to get it running on the Ally X, whereas on the Switch 2, it just worked, right? And somebody in the server was like, well, I still don't want a Switch 2. Like this is probably one of the craziest arguments to justify the purchase of a Switch 2. I still have my PC. I still have my ROG Ally. I'm happy with what I got. I don't need it. That's a crazy argument. And then the other person said, well, it's still a good console, right? And they're trying to defend their purchase. But at the end, they were like, listen, this entire year, I haven't been playing anything new. I've just been playing everything in my backlog because I don't want to buy something new right now. And I think what a lot of people, Silksong is kind of a unicorn situation, but in most cases, if you want to play a AA or a AAA title, you're going to be paying top dollar at launch. If you wait 6, 8 months, 12 months, all of a sudden you're paying maybe half price for something.
Unless it's Nintendo.
Unless it's a Nintendo. Correct. 100%. So it's just like, for me, I'm very much of like, dude, just wait. If it isn't in your budget, there are plenty of other, there's such a huge library of games that have been coming out. Like, you can play anything. There's so many games coming out in this month alone. Like, I don't know like how many games you like play and whatnot, but I don't have that much time to play so many titles, right? I've only played probably maybe 4 or 5 titles in total this year, like Expedition 33 being one of them, Donkey Kong Bonanza being one of them, Mario Kart World being one of them, and some other like PC titles that I've been like dabbling in. But as of right now, it's Silksong. But there's nothing else that's going to be coming out this year that I'm extremely excited for, except for Metroid Prime, Beyond, because I'm a Metroid head.
Oh,
but that's just excitement for me. Everything else has been, hey, like, it's here, it's on the side, I'll get to it eventually. I don't know, man. I don't think that if you are trying to go for games day one, I don't think you have to like worry too much about things. You could just go play the backlog and you'll be fine, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? In
Oh
terms
yeah,
of price and
I
everything.
100% agree with that. Like the only time that I feel like it's really important for you to be there day one are games where it heavily features online multiplayer,
Mhm.
and the people who are there first, they get an advantage over everyone else because when they're out there, usually what happens is, we'll just use an MMO for an example. You launch, you get into the game, you start doing stuff, and then suddenly the developers have all of this information that they didn't have before, and they start fine-tuning things and closing all of the gaps and weaknesses in the game, trying to fix things up. But in that time, all of the early adopters, they're like way out ahead of everybody else, which means now they can get to end game faster than everybody else. They can do all of that stuff that they want to do at the end of the game before everybody else. And because it's an online thing, you don't want to miss out on the zeitgeist of being in there at the same time with everyone else. When you're playing, so like Monster Hunter would be a really good example of
Oh,
that.
yeah, man.
When you're playing a single player game like Silksong, it doesn't matter because it's the same game. I mean, yeah, there'll be patches, but if you get the game in 6 months, it's going to be pretty much the same experience as it was when you got it at launch. And too many people, they're like, I got to get this now so that I cannot feel left out of the conversation. And I have to admit, I've been guilty of that too. Like I've bought games that I didn't have time for, played them for 5 hours, and then never picked them up again because everybody was talking about how great this game was. And I played it for a little bit and went, it wasn't really for me. And if I had given it more time to like ruminate, I would have realized that game's not for me, and I would have passed on it. You know what I mean?
What game? Do you have like a recent example of that, if you don't mind me asking?
Metal Gear Solid Delta. I'd never played a Metal
Really?
Gear. Yes, that game sucks.
What?
I know everybody's
Oh
going to be mad at me.
no!
That game is terrible. All right.
Oh
Yeah, I picked it up.
no!
Yes, it's bad. I hate it. I've been playing
Dude,
that game.
no!
It's so frustrating. It's like, okay, so cutscene, awesome, long cutscene. Okay, all right, now I get to play. I played for 5 freaking seconds. Another cutscene, bam. Okay, that's a little irritating, but I'm fine with it. Another really long cutscene. Finally, I get to play for about 10 minutes. I rescue the guy. We get out of there. Another long cutscene. What do? Send me back to the exact same place that I just was? Are you kidding me? And even the gameplay just wasn't really that interesting to me. Like I'm sneaking along and I walk up to a guy and I push my right trigger, take him out. It's just not. I feel like it's a game that if I had played it when it came out, the original, when it came out back then, maybe I would be singing a different tune. Maybe if I got further into the game, I would be singing a different tune. But this game, I do not understand why people talking about not Kojima. Is it Kojima? Yeah, Kojima.
Yeah,
I don't
Kojima.
understand why people talk about Kojima in such hushed tones. His work is unimpressive to me.
Wow.
It's just not a game for me, and that's fine.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think I need more action or something. I don't know.
That's fair. 100%. I think the reason why I reacted like that was like, so, oh man, metal. So I'm not like a huge Hideo Kojima nut. Let me preface that with that. But a lot of the games that come from like Metal Gear as a whole, like I see them at more as like films that have gameplay than games that you play. And Metal Gear Solid specifically, like the entire like genre from like Metal Gear Solid from on PS1 all the way, like, pushing that forward. Because I think the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, they weren't as, heavy on story. But the reason why I say that is like, Metal Gear Solid 3 out of like the original Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4 was like my favorite because at the time I was I was big into like James Bond and stuff, and this just like scratched that itch. I was like, oh, this is absolutely like you're talking about, the Cold War stuff. There's like espionage. There's like all these different things that are happening, but it is laid out like a film. And so you kind of have to like realize that you go in and you're just like, okay, I'm going to watch a cinematic, play for like a few minutes, then watch another cinematic, play for a few minutes, and then watch another cinematic. And then like it asks a lot of you, and it asks a lot of the player in terms of like timing. I remember Metal Gear Solid 4, that was I think it was either a launch title or very close to the launch of the PlayStation 3. That was a game that I bought, like, I was just like, all right, I am getting a PlayStation 3 and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this game. And it's like, I think it's 45 minutes before you actually even start playing, which is the thing, man. The fourth one. I think that's Sons of the Patriots. But if you can, because you're not going to play any more Metal Gear games, are you?
I'm not really planning on it, but we'll see.
Okay. No, that's okay. Because I was gonna say like the ending to Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, well, don't spoil anything for anybody who's like
no. I'm not gonna spoil anything. No.
Okay.
I was gonna say if you do not plan on playing it, watch it and just compare it to society in today's day and age. Just that's all I ask.
Oh, watch yeah, no, I've been told about this. Yes, I'm with you. I understand. Wild. Yeah, and it makes sense that, like, I get that he's telling a story, but, like, you're talking about the cutscenes. Like, literally one of the cutscenes that I was watching was, like, this sepia-toned picture that was on screen for about 2.5 minutes while Zero was talking to me, and I was just like, they really could have done more with that. And then don't even get me started about the fact that like the boob button where like you're talking to this lady and it's like it says press R1 and I'm like, so I push R1 and it zooms in on her chest and I'm like, really? Are we that like, are we 12?
At the time when the original came out, I think I was 12. I don't know. I have to
and
see
it
when
makes
the original
sense,
came out.
But here I am almost 50. It makes sense that maybe that wouldn't appeal to me quite as much. I think that because I don't have any nostalgia, it just doesn't land for me.
Right. And I think, one thing that I haven't played it personally, Bill, but one thing that I have heard is that it is a very, very, very faithful remake to the original, which,
yes,
I mean, like that's great and all. I wonder what else Konami's going to do with this,
Well, I was really because I was hoping I would love it. Because I've heard nothing but wonderful things about Metal Gear, and they're like, okay, well, they're starting with Metal Gear 3 because that's the first mission for him.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, perfect. I get to play him in chronological order instead of the ridiculous Star Wars Episode 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, which is happening with Metal Gear. I don't have to worry about that. They're going to re-release them. It'll be Metal Gear Solid Delta, and then whatever, and they're going to be in chronological order, so I get to experience this cool story. And I was just so disappointed. I probably have about 6 hours into the game so far, and I just don't see myself picking it back up. My son is super happy because that means he'll be able to play it.
How old's your son, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
He's 17.
Oh, dude. Yeah, he's got all the time in the world.
Oh, yeah. He's been playing. He played Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Rise, Revengeance, or some stupid name. I can't remember the name. He loved that. He like really liked it.
So if you have a copy of that, it's great because it's short. It's made by Platinum Games. It's not made by it's developed by Platinum Games. Hideo Kojima had a little bit to do with it, but it follows one of the side characters, Raiden. And dude, it is, if you like action games, that's a really fun game to get into.
Yeah, that one seems like it's probably more my alley. I don't mind watching a slow movie. Yeah. I don't mind watching a slow TV show. But when I play a game, I actually want to do something. And literally I was sitting there with the controller in my hand and I was like, am I going to push a button sometime? And I would put it on the table in front
That's
of me and
R1,
just sit
man.
back and yeah. I would set it down and I would think I'll pick it up when it tells me to do something. And after a while, I was like, all right, maybe I got to do something soon. So I'd pick it up and I'd hold it. Nope, I don't need it yet. So I'd set it back down again. It was not what I was expecting. I guess I should have done more research.
No worries, man. That's fine. That's fine. That was your first Hideo Kojima game ever?
I mean, I played the original Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 at a friend's house for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. And, every time that I get a little retro handheld guy, I usually will install it on there and I'll play for about 10 minutes and I'll be like, yeah, it just doesn't draw me. It doesn't get its hooks into me. And I was always thinking that it's because it's so dated. When the new one comes out, I'll be like, yes, this is the time for me to finally experience these games. And it is not.
It's a slow burn, man. It's a very slow burn. But hey, you gave it a shot. And like, honestly, when people are like, oh, should I play this game? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, this is my experience. I hope you enjoy it. Not like, oh, you have to play it, like, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, if you don't enjoy it, like, it's kind of like some people like Mexican, other people like Italian. Like, we all have different tastes. So it's like, if you don't like it, hey, at least you gave it a shot.
Yeah. Too many people that follow the gaming industry who play games, they always think that everybody has to agree on everything, but video games are art, and art is subjective. For me, a game is going to hit one way, and for you, it's going to hit a completely different way, and both are completely valid experiences and opinions. You love Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear might be terrible, and both are valid. Now, there's going to be a lot of people in the comments that are telling me that I'm super wrong and I need to, worship at the throne of Kojima. But I looked at Death Stranding and I said, that doesn't look interesting at all. And I don't understand what the gameplay is. Every time he gets on stage at the Game Awards or something, I just can't wait for him to get off of stage because he never makes any real announcement. He's just like, I'm making a game and I'm not going to tell you what it's like. And I'm going to waste everybody's time while I'm up here. And every time I'm like, God, this guy is just such a blowhard. And everybody's like, no, he's Kojima. He makes amazing games. And it just doesn't hit for me.
Yeah. I think, he's a big movie nut. And like he loves movies. So like the approach to like his games, like his game design is solid in terms of like mechanics. Like Death Stranding at one point felt a lot like Metal Gear, if I'm being 100% honest with you, gameplay wise. But I have not played Death Stranding 2, but I played Death Stranding 1 when it first came out on PlayStation, and it was okay. It didn't click for me, genuinely. Like I was like, like 15 hours in, I was like, nah, like I'm just gonna put this down. But I ended up buying Death Stranding Director's Cut on Steam, and it was the first Steam Deck game that I finished from beginning to end, and I absolutely loved it. And I think it was because of the mobile aspect of it, that like me being able to play wherever I want, and this is like a fully fledged, game. But it's one of those games where like it ended and I didn't have all my questions answered. And then watching the trailers like leading up to it, I'm just like, okay, now that this is being introduced, why the heck is this happening? Why is that happening? And like, I don't even know if I'm going to get any questions answered in this game. I'm probably going to end up with more questions than answers. I was going to say that, dude, the one thing that I wish we got out of Kojima was Silent Hills. Like, did you ever play PT, the demo on PlayStation?
No, I heard nothing. I know everybody. I'm not super into horror games.
Okay.
I like Resident Evil. Whenever I look at Silent Hill, there's an era or there's an air of Resident Evil's scary. Silent Hill is creepy. And I don't like the creepiness. And I really don't like the gore that's in games, in most games either. Like, I will tolerate it for a good story.
Yeah.
and maybe Silent Hill is that, but it, like, my son is always asking me to, like, try this game, try that one. I'm like, I don't want to, it's gross. I don't want to see the gross stuff. No, thank you.
Yeah.
He loves horror movies. He went to go see The Conjuring the other day. You would not ever catch me going to watch The Conjuring. Like, it's too gross.
Yeah. No, man, I'm not big into like horror films per se. I think traumatic moment happened in my life when I grew up in Puerto Rico. I grew up in the mountains. So and I was in the rural mountains. So there's no lights or anything like there's like one street light and that's it. And there was this pathway that led from our driving parking area that we had. It wasn't even really a garage, but we walked in and then there's like this pathway that leads towards two different homes. And out there we had a TV and gates on the sides. So technically like mosquitoes and bugs and cookies, they would go ahead and come in. You would hear them throughout the entire night, but we'd watch TV there, Yankees fans and things like that. So I remember one time, prime time was done and I was staying up late because it was summer. And then all of a sudden I start, I'm watching TV and I'm like, all right, cool. What's going to be on? And then all of a sudden I see the beginning to Friday the 13th, part 3, where, and I'm like, maybe 6, 7 years old. You see Jason get struck by some guy came in, dug him up and like stabbed him in the heart with some piece of metal. Lightning strikes. Yeah. Like totally wakes him up, dude. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. I just turned it off and I was like, nope. So ever since then, I've never been into like horror films, but like horror games, there are a couple that I play. Dead Space was kind of like my end all be all favorite. So when they did the remake, I was really excited about it.
That remake is amazing, by the way.
Dude, so good. So good. So good.
Still too gross, but go ahead.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But no. I feel like, there's Hideo Kojima like coming up with like PT, like there was a lot of psychological horror in there that like led up to it. And it's like you said earlier, the zeitgeist moment, because there were like puzzles and riddles that people just didn't understand. They were in different languages. So as a community of gamers, we all came and like finally like figured this out. That was really, really awesome. But yeah, man, that's all I want to say. Like, it was just an absolutely amazing experience. I wish that we had gotten that out of him, because that was also Guillermo del Toro as well, who also does crazy things,
He does, like Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes. Oh my God.
Amazing movie.
So good, but creepy.
You know what? The one thing that I want Hideo Kojima to do, I don't want him to make any more games. I want him to make Metal Gear movie, because then I could just sit down and watch a damn movie and somebody will say, just watch the cutscenes. No, the cutscenes are sepia toned photos that just sit there on the screen for 2 minutes while Zero's talking. No, thank you. I want to see an actual movie with actors moving around and doing stuff, because he does stuff like movies. That's what I want. I will play games while I watch it or something. I don't know.
Just bring a retro handheld, play Metal Gear 1 while you're watching it on the TV or on the screen. It'll be great.
Unfortunately, I think, doesn't Konami own all that stuff and he can't do anything with it?
Yep, that's true. And
he got screwed bad.
Him. Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
All right, we got off track, but that's okay. Hey, speaking of movies, let's imagine that you have the greatest director in the world wants to direct a movie about your game. He's batted almost 1,000 when it comes to making his movies. And you say no because you don't want to give him full creative control. That is crazy talk to me. And that's what happened with Call of Duty and Steven Spielberg. He wanted to direct a Call of Duty movie. He wanted to have Final Cut, like, as the one who, he's the wanted to be the one who said, this is the final cut, no other cuts are happening after this. And they said no and sold it to Paramount Plus instead. That's crazy to me. What do you think about that story?
Dude, when that first popped up, I was literally like, what? You have like arguably one of the biggest directors of all time. He's a GOAT. And you're like, yeah, no, like we're spooked because he wanted full control of the narrative, and it's like, have they not seen Saving Private Ryan or any of the other
Right.
war films that he's done? Like, he knows this. This is his bread and butter. It boggles my mind. Boggles my mind.
It does. So basically, here's the quote. It says, "But with Spielberg comes the famous Spielberg deal, which includes top of market economics, final cut, and full control over production and marketing. This spooked Activision, who ultimately went with another pitch from Paramount, which offered the publisher more control. If you make video games and you want somebody to make a movie of your video game, you want the person who makes movies to be the one in control of the movies. And if you make movies and somebody wants to make a video game out of your movie, then the people who make video games should be the ones who make those decisions." It goes both ways. And it's ridiculous to me that we could have had a Call of Duty movie from Steven Spielberg, and instead it's going to be something on Paramount Plus. Now, maybe it's going to be awesome. I don't know. But
Did you see what they did with Halo?
So I think, didn't Paramount Plus get bought, and now there's new people in charge of it, though?
I don't know, man. But if that's the case, man, like, it feels weird. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
I know that people really hated. First off, I didn't watch Halo.
Okay.
And I know that people were mad because it didn't follow the lore of the game. And I have been raked across the coals by people because I've said before, the game is the game and the movie is the movie, and it's fine if they're two separate things, as long as if they're telling two different stories, it's fine. It doesn't bother me that they changed the lore. Now, was it bad? By all accounts, yes, it was bad. Was it bad because they changed the lore? I don't know. I think it was probably bad because it was bad, and it just happened to be that they also changed the lore. There's a lot of things out there that are very true to the lore of whatever the source material is, and they're terrible. And there's a lot of things out there that are very true to the source material that they come from, and they're awesome. Sticking to the source material, in my opinion, doesn't make a good product automatically. And there's going to be people in the comments that say that I'm wrong, and that's fine. They'll say things like, well, your first job is to the people who already like that stuff. No, your first job, because that's like a very small segment of the population who's going to watch something. Your first job is to please the majority of the audience, the most people who are going to watch something or play something. So when a game of a movie comes out and it's good, but it strays from the movie, that doesn't bother me even a little. And the same thing is true in the other direction. Most people disagree with me, though, and that's fine. Where do you land on that?
I think that it's funny. We were actually just like talking about this, my wife and I, earlier. Like, not just about like this, but just in general, because we read a lot. So like, I'll like read a book before, like I read Dune before I watched the movies, because I wanted to understand the source material that was there before jumping into the films.
I got a hot take for that too. I'll say after this. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. But like in this instance, like, there are certain key elements of storytelling that need to be put into place in order for the story, the plot overall, regardless of source material or not, to actually be good, right? Like, the hero's journey is one of the classical, levels of storytelling that needs to be a part of whatever narrative it is that you're telling. And it's funny because, to me, Call of Duty, and I'm talking specifically about Call of Duty, not other like video games turned into films. Like, this isn't Super Mario Brothers or anything like that. I look at it and I'm just like, okay, this can be a blank canvas. You don't need to have, like, it's Call of Duty,
Right.
Like,
there's no story. I mean, maybe there is a story, but I don't care about it.
There is a story, especially with like the Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, and like everything that's there. And the campaigns are fantastic. They're very bombastic. There's a lot of, action that's happening. It fits the genre beautifully. Are we going to see, any of the other like any of the other characters that are there from any of them, Black Ops, Modern Warfare, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. Call of Duty as a franchise as a whole can be a blank canvas. And I do agree with your statement that like when you go to, if you're a video game, publisher and you want a movie, you go to the people that do movies. Like it makes sense. If it, and like to piggyback on that, if I want something to be successful, the product has to be good, right?
Yes.
The film has to be good in order for it to actually be well. Not like, oh well, like this isn't really 100% what we would see, in a Call of Duty video game, but it's going to be in the film. Like, it's a very delicate balance in terms of like appeasing towards the fans of the series, which it's Call of Duty. It's probably one of the largest franchises in the world.
Yes. Huge.
And you also have to appeal towards moviegoers. I think The Last of Us was a really good example of HBO kind of taking the source material, working with the directors and the creators that were there to take their vision and make it a reality. But I feel like that's a little bit of a unicorn, compared to some of the other adaptations that we've had.
That's possible. I didn't play The Last of Us.
What?
I know.
Phil, please.
I know. I was mostly playing Nintendo games and World of Warcraft when that game was around. So I didn't have a PS3. It was a PS3 game, right?
It was, but you can get it on PC
I
now.
never owned a PS3, so I never got around to it. But I was fine just watching it, and I freaking loved the show. The show is one of my favorite shows of all time. It's so damn good. The acting is unbelievably good. The cast is great. The writing is phenomenal. And I don't feel like I need to go back and play the game because I got to experience a story and I enjoyed everything that I did. The only difference between me playing that game and watching what I watched, sure, some story stuff might be slightly different, but it'll be, a few more extra hours of me fumbling around poorly fighting monsters in the dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like so I played the game 1 and 2 and I've watched the series. If there's one thing that I can say is that they took the story of within the games and the show, like, how can I say this? When I played the first game, I loved it. I played it multiple times and I saw the show, the first season, and a lot of the same story beats are there, but there's an expansion and inclusion of some of the things that were barely mentioned within the game. And then vice versa. Within the show, there were some things that were barely mentioned that were expanded much more within the game. So it's kind of like if you want to, expand, the all of the different things that are there. Like the whole thing with Bill, like that third episode,
Yeah,
that was
hardly
literally
even there.
It's a segment, dude. It's literally like maybe 10, 15 minutes and that's it. And like they just expanded so much to like humanize that character. And that to me is like brilliant writing where you're just like, okay, me as a gamer, I've played the game. I know who Bill is, but holy crap, now I know Bill as a character. And now I care more about Bill than I did before just because he was a friend of Joel's. It's a whole different ballgame.
They couldn't do what they did in a game like they did in the show. Like they gave us it was an hour to get to know that guy and his husband and his partner. Obviously nobody's getting married because it's just the two of them.
It's just the two of them.
They don't have a minister or whatever. But we got to know those two characters, and you couldn't do that in a video game. No. Just like you can't do certain things in a movie or a TV show that you can do in a video game. But you know what? I will say that I liked the show enough that I did play, because I think it was on PSN. I played the beginning of the first one, and like it was beat for beat exactly the same experience. And I was like, okay, I could just watch the show and be fine with it. I don't need to I don't need to muddy up the waters with me screwing up and getting killed and getting frustrated when I can just watch it.
For sure, for sure. The
Yeah.
only thing that they did with the first season is that they rushed the ending. That was the only part that I was like, "What? How?" Because I think it was 8 episodes, right?
I'm not sure.
8 or 9. I don't know, but it was less than 10. And like I was sitting there and I was like watching, and I was like, "Okay, this is good. This is good." And I was like, "Are they gonna like divide the first game up into like multiple seasons? Because this like feels like they're taking a long time." Building up all of this exposition, into like the story and everything. So, but yeah, the ending of like the first season felt rushed just because of that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like kind of just like storytelling that was missed out on. But honestly, man, like I think if you don't watch it, it's fine. But one thing that I will say, Bill, is that a lot of my friends that don't play video games, they watched that and they were like, "Oh my god, this is so good." And my response to that was like, "This is what you've been missing out in video games. The level of storytelling and writing and character building is so dang high." Like obviously there's some games that are, not as good
Yeah.
in terms of like storytelling and are much more focused on mechanics, like Monster Hunter, for instance. But yeah, man, it's good times. I'm glad
I've
that you
become
watched
a
it,
Neil
though.
Dr- I've become a Neil Druckmann fan.
Oh, really? Okay,
Based
so
on that, I'm like, okay, if he puts out something else, I'm going to be paying attention to it because he did a great job.
Intergalactic? Are you gonna grab? Are you
Yes,
gonna grab
I'm
that?
looking forward to that. The one with for the people who don't remember that one, that's the one where they showed the spaceship, and it's like says it's a Porsche spaceship, and
Yeah,
the woman is wearing like Chuck Converse sneakers and stuff, and she's in space, and she's like this bounty hunter with like an electric sword or something. That looks
yeah.
very cool. I'm a little concerned that it might be a Souls-like because there's too
Okay,
many Souls-likes out there, and
agreed.
like just the combat. When I saw the combat, I was like, is this a Souls-like? Because if it's a Souls-like, I don't like to. I'm okay being challenged,
Right.
but Souls-like stuff always frustrates me. Like I played Elden Ring probably 20 hours, had a
Uh,
blast, but I didn't finish it because it
yeah.
was a Souls-like, and I got stuck, or I couldn't beat a boss or something, and I was just like, I had gone up against him enough times that I was just like, I don't want to put in the time to get good. I just wanted
Fair.
to experience it, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope it's not.
I don't think that it will be. I hope not. I think it'll kind of be like, at least I think, without going too deep into it, like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, like that type of like
Oh,
gameplay where
okay.
you have like different moves that you can do.
That game
Um,
was cool.
it was fun, man. A lot of fun.
It was, and nobody friggin' played it.
It's a shame,
It
genuinely a
really
shame,
is.
because
The
I
voice
mean,
acting
to
was
be fair, I
great.
got it on sale. Like
Yeah.
but it's
I
fun.
played it on Stadia. I got it for free because like I got it as a review code or whatever on Stadia, and it was a really good game, and I really liked the voice acting. And when you built up your charges enough to be able to hit the button, and Star-Lord would like push play on his cassette player and start calling the shots, you're just like, heck yeah, that game was really good.
Hell yeah, man. That's so much fun. So much fun. That's like fun game mechanics that like, apply towards the character. It makes sense. Like
Hmm.
that's good design, I think.
Yeah. Well, we have been rambling for 2 hours, and it
Doesn't
went
feel like it.
by really fast. Everybody, make sure that you check out Rudy's channel. Rudy, tell everybody where they can find your stuff, what kind of stuff you do over there, and then we'll get out of here after that.
Sure. I'm baldly Rudy literally everywhere. And it's at literally anything, any platform. I probably have an account there. I may not be posting on it, but it's mainly YouTube, PC handhelds, emulation from time to time, and sometimes laptops and like other things like 2-in-1 tablets and things like that. It's just, I like tech, man. I like PC tech. It's fun.
It is fun. It is. And so make sure you check out his stuff. Again, that's baldly with two L's in there.
What
Baldly
else?
Rudy. which I did not realize. I've been saying it wrong in my head all this time. And when I mentioned that you were going to be on the show, Russ said, "Make sure you get his name right, dude." And I was like, "Oh no!" Longtime fans of the show will know that I constantly mix up Russ and Rich, not because they look similar, but they both start with an R and they both have 4 letters in their name, and my brain just does not handle that very well. But you guys could have been anywhere for the last 2 hours, but you decided to hang out with me and Rudy, and so I appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Stay rad, everybody. Bye-bye.